we understood that the agreement that was signed had some loopholes when it came to the deceased hostages, that it was based on best effort. And it's very difficult to quantify what best effort is. We, bottom line, Elizabeth, 72 hours passed by, there's still 24 hostages in Gaza. And that is the definition, and they should have done much more, and we should have seen many more hostages come out.
You say President Trump has talked a lot about putting Americans first. Your son is the youngest American hostage to be held in Gaza. Today, President Trump posted, "The job is not done. The dead have not been returned as promised. Phase 2 begins right now." But Phase 1 was supposed to mean the return of all the hostages, both living and dead. Do you have confidence they're doing everything possible to find your son?
I was with President Trump yesterday, and I said to him the exact words that he quoted. Mr. President, the job is not done. You still have American citizens, and you still have hostages that need to come out. And, we could talk about Hamas, how they do not follow agreements that they sign on. But at the end, I am a U.S. citizen, and I am an Israeli citizen. I can only go to my government and ask them to do better to bring back my son back. And speaking to Mr. Witkoff and the other U.S. team, it was wonderful to see not only the president yesterday, but Secretary Rubio, Secretary Hegseth, CIA Director Ratcliffe, all of them came in to make sure that this deal gets to where it gets to. And that is the call. That is the call. The call now is that the job is not done. And I expect this administration that has done a wonderful job when it comes to bringing back U.S. citizens from captivity. I expect them to do the same thing with my son as well.
I'm just learning that the IDF is at this hour headed to northern Gaza, where they are expected to pick up several more coffins. Have you heard anything about this as of this moment?
Yeah, I got an update a few minutes before we started talking. They have no idea the identification of those that are coming out. They would need to be identified. It will take some time. So, this is the Russia roulette. It might be me, might be somebody else, might be tomorrow, might be in another year from now. And that's exactly where the United States needs to put an emphasis on its citizens and demand that the Qataris, the Egyptians, whoever, make sure that those U.S. citizens come out.
You wrote in an essay in USA Today this morning that you live in a state of suspended mourning, unable to grieve, unable to heal, unable to bury your son. And in that essay, you plead with President Trump not to call this war over, as he is doing.
Exactly. My son might have been killed, but my family, are living. And we also need to be able to continue to live. And at the moment, we cannot, because we've been suspended in some alternative wacko universe that I, expect a call to get. And I'm disappointed I don't get that call, which is, as wacky as you could get. And we need to be able to continue, not just us, but the other 23 families as well. We demand from the Israeli government, and in my case, the U.S. government, to get this to the finish line.
The Israeli government announced today that it will not allow aid in through the Rafah gate tomorrow if, in fact, Hamas does not turn over more of the hostages who died while they were in captivity. It seems Israel is determined not to make the mistake it's made in the past when it failed to recover the remains of several Israeli hostages whose bodies to this day have never been found.
Yeah, that happened 11 years ago, where there was a ceasefire in place, also with U.S. guarantees. And they told the families of those hostages, look, give us a week or two, give us a month, we'll get your loved ones back. They've been waiting for 11 years. We do not want to have the same mistake. We think that this is the window of opportunity. Each day that passes by, it'll be more difficult to find those that were killed and have been put in places nobody knows. So now is the time to put the pressure, and a prerequisite to move to phase 2, as the president said, should be completing phase 1, which stated that as many hostages as possible of the 48 come out. And we do not see only half of them coming out. That doesn't sound like what the intention of the document that was signed meant.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.